I just want to go over what legal issues that Trump has had in just the last couple of months. Oh yeah, classified documents. Right. Let's just forget that Joe Biden had classified documents and he was a vice president at the time and maybe even a senator, who knows? And they want to say Trump improperly stored his documents. Well, Joe Biden's were found in the freaking like garage that he keeps his Corvette in like a bunch of boxes. Why would you have classified documents in a garage in a house that you don't even use, like with your car sitting? Like, anybody could have gotten to those documents. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's like the drop off point, you know? Or it's like you got a Chinese CCP person and they're like, oh, I want to see some information on this, and Joe Biden's like, I can get that. So he gets it, brings it over to a house nobody lives in, right? But he owns it, or he rents it, or whatever. Puts it in a box with a bunch of other junk, and all they got to do is just go over there with the garage door open, take the documents, none's the wiser. So, I mean, why are we going after Trump for this? When our president currently is guilty of the same exact thing, but not as a president. So it doesn't even count as far as like the Presidential Records Act is supposed to protect the president from prosecution like this. I'm so sick of arguing with people that clearly have TDS and just hate Trump. I'm sick of arguing with them about how this is unprecedented. It hasn't happened. It could create a civil war. And you better believe that when it's your turn and it's flipped around and the other people are in charge politically, they're going to go after your guy too. They will. This sets the precedent for it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Like, this could potentially be crazy. It's just going to be politicians going after each other all the time. Not just Democrats going after Republicans. Hopefully Republicans get some freaking backbone and some balls, and they go after the Democrats. But most of them are uniparty, so they ain't going to do that. Basically, if you're a Republican and you haven't said anything negative about the Democrats going after Trump, you're uniparty scum, and you need to be voted out. Talking to you, Lindsey. Talking to you, Turtle. McConnell and Lindsey Graham, if you're anywhere, like if you're in an area where you can vote for these people, vote against them. I don't care who you vote for. Get rid of them. They're old, they're outdated, and they're uniparty. They're neocon war hawks. Get rid of them, or we're going to go into World War III, and they're going to love it because they're going to stuff their pockets. You better believe it. They're going to stuff their pockets while we all drown in our debt. Must be nice to be politically connected, don't you think? Especially if you're a Nepo baby and you're like connected to powerful people through birth. Must be nice, right? It's not just Hollywood that's casting all their Nepo babies. Literally, like Nancy Pelosi's daughter, probably in line to inherit Nancy Pelosi's throne one of these days. It's that way with a whole bunch of the politicians. Their kids are just waiting for their turn to take over. So that's classified documents wrapped up. Okay, we got something going on in Georgia. You might remember the crazy person that was on the jury, this lady who just like looks evil. She looks like she's from like a Dr. Seuss book, but like an evil person, like an evil who. She was like, oh, I can't wait to stick it to Trump. It was just, this woman was dripping with TDS. Like it was so bad that it was actually embarrassing for leftists and Democrats. They're just like, ooh, we didn't want you to see just how crazy and biased our juries are. Uh-oh. Yeah, we saw it. Imagine how bad it is in DC. That's Georgia. That's a cuckoo lady from Georgia. Imagine what the New York juries are going to be like. Imagine what the DC juries are going to be like. Have you seen some of the sentences that they gave the January 6ers? Stuart Rhodes, who wasn't even there, didn't even go in the Capitol. He's in jail for 18 years. He wasn't even there. These sentences are insane. The prosecutors are lying about things. They're holding back evidence as far as human confidential sources, aka feds, undercover. There were a whole bunch of them at January 6th. A whole bunch of them. And I think there were at least 50 that were associated with the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. Just them. Another video about January 6th, I got a lot to say about how they've been treating the prisoners, the political prisoners of January 6th. And this is the injustice. Being kept in solitary confinement for like 2.5 years, going on 3. That's torture. They're torturing these people. We're social creatures. To be kept in solitary confinement is one of the worst things that you can do to somebody. You know, besides assaulting them, raping them, and murdering them, keeping them like all by themselves in a cell block with no one else to talk to. People go crazy like that. And the people that, once they are out, like hopefully Trump wins or somebody wins and we get the January 6th prisoners out, they're not going to ever be the same. They will be changed psychologically. And that's just sad. So before I get into what is going to be the next indictment, most likely, because Trump truthed about it, the Georgia one is dealing with, remember when he was on the phone call and he said, find me these 17,000 votes or whatever it was, find me those votes. They take it literally, and they were saying that he wanted like fraudulent votes. He wanted them to find fraudulent votes, even though he didn't say that. Read between the lines, apparently. It's all about intention with these people. No, he was just saying like the votes are out there, find them. And if they can't find them, then he's not going to say make them up. He never once said make them up or fill out a bunch of fake ballots or whatever. He didn't say that. So I really don't know what they can indict him on, but they're going to do it anyway. You better believe it. Oh, there's just so many indictments. I'm sorry if I screw this up, but the one that's coming up, what it has to deal with is January 6th and Trump, President Trump, instigating an insurrection, even though he didn't. Even though he said, everybody, let's peacefully, what was it? Peacefully and patriotically head to the Capitol, have our voices heard. Our voices heard. Not, let's tear down the fencing and let's bust into the Capitol and let's do the worst thing we can possibly think of when it comes to having our politicians actually do their job and question the election results. State by state by state. We were going to start with Arizona alphabetically, right? They were going to start with the first contention, which I think alphabetically was Arizona. And right about that time was the first breach in the Capitol. Interesting timing, don't you think? Very interesting. I wonder if Ray Epps was waiting for a certain signal from a certain person that might have said, it's time, you better do it now before they talk about the election inconsistencies. We have to do something to distract them from that. Oh, and we have to do something to vilify MAGA as much as we possibly can. Turn them into domestic terrorists. They succeeded. And with the Dems in charge, they formed the January 6th committee, which we were supposed to have Republican representation. And they poo-pooed all of the Republican people that were nominated by the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, who is now the House leader. But back then, he nominated certain people, and every single one of them was vetoed. And they just chose, the Democrats chose their own. They chose crybaby Adam, traitor Liz Cheney. Talk about Nepo. She's Dick Cheney's daughter. Nepo baby. Inherited her position. Sucks. Is gone now. Thank God. Good job voting her out, guys. Good job. Okay. So, anyway, that whole thing, the whole thing was a sham. It was lies. It was smears. And the actual videos that they showed during the during these weird like primetime committee meetings or what, I don't even know what they're supposed to be, like Law and Order CSI episodes, I don't know, showing us heavily edited videos of people attacking the Capitol or just running, like a whole bunch of people running. Basically looks like stampedes, riots, anybody that actually did get hurt or hit. They made sure they showed that over and over, like every single person was attacking a Capitol police officer. That's not the case. That's not what happened. They showed that over and over, hoping to brainwash the public. And you know what? They did it. They kind of did, even though they added music to it, which I thought was like the most emotionally manipulative way that they could present it to us. But then again, if you're red-pilled and you hear the music, it's just like that much more obvious. This is all made up and they're trying to manipulate you emotionally. Thank God the Republicans won the House, and now there is no January 6th committee. We actually are looking into it. We're trying to find out how many confidential human resources were there, how many feds undercover, how many feds were in the Capitol before it was breached wearing MAGA hats. How come Jim Jordan and company, when they ask certain people if there were feds or confidential human resources or confidential human sources that were in the Capitol wearing MAGA hats or dressed up as Trump supporters, they refuse to answer those questions. You know what? I've been watching a lot of these like council meetings, and it feels like the people that are lying, they lie all the time. You know how? By omission. They refuse to answer a question. If they refuse to answer the question, that's just like a big red flag to me. Why? Why won't they answer it? Oh, they say it's confidential or whatever. No. The American public wants to know the truth. Sick of being lied to. Just sick of it. Sick of these indictments. Sick of the unprecedented ways that we're treating our former president. Sick of the two-tier justice system where a criminal like Hunter Biden, because he's a Nepo baby, his charges for all these tax evasion, charges for tax evasion, gun charges. I'm pretty sure there's some stuff on the laptop there dealing with underage women, but maybe it's international, so it's okay. There's got to be a ton of crimes on that laptop, or just in general. I think the Bidens are just so like blatantly obvious about their corruption now, because who cares, right? Nobody's going to prosecute them. We can already see the DOJ has got his back, clearly. The FBI has his back. What about the CIA? Are they compromised too? It's starting to feel like all of our government agencies. It's starting to feel like all of our government agencies are compromised. So I guess we're just waiting on the next Trump indictment. And this one will be for instigating an insurrection, take over, just coup, all of that, rawr. It was a riot, okay? It was a riot. It got out of hand. There were an awful lot of instigators that were there. Whether or not they were feds, it doesn't matter. The majority, they were peaceful. And now the feds are going after 1,000 more people that were just there. Not necessarily in the Capitol, just there. This is the world that we're living in. I know I often will finish my videos with that, but I guess next week we'll just see what happens. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. Every single week I think like it can't get crazier. And then it does. Okay, well, take care of each other. God bless America. And I will see you next time. Bye.